Hey y'all, I'm Jada, and today I'm going to be doing a quick draping tutorial showing you how to attach a drape like this to a base like this. A lot of times a question I get often when it comes to draping is how do you actually attach your drape to your gown or your garment, and so that's what I'm going to be showing y'all today.
So the first thing that I am going to do is I am going to take my drape and I am going to pin it to the back of my garment. Now you can see it slightly from this angle, but a key thing that's super important to know is when you are creating garments that have drapes that are super large and they cover the back of the client, you want to make sure the back pattern is extended up towards the neck. Here's an example of what I mean. You can see here in this video on the left that my pattern goes up towards the neck, and this allows my drape to have the support it needs to be able to hold up. Once you finish pinning your drape in place, you want to just double check and make sure that you like the placement of it before you begin to start sewing. Also, one more thing, before you take this drape down, make sure you apply some pressure to the drape just to make sure even if your client leans back, it'll still hold up its shape. So now, because this will be easier to sew while it's actually laid out flat, we're going to go ahead and take our drape off the mannequin since it's pinned in place, and then we'll begin hand sewing. And one more thing that's important to note about how you pin this to the drape, anywhere that you place a pin represents an area that needs support on the actual garment. So I have pins that go up the entire back of this drape because that whole back, the center back, and the sides of this drape needs support. So when removing your drape from the mannequin, make sure you keep those pins in those exact same spaces. That way you know where to hand sew. Also, something else to keep in mind with the placement of your drape, you want to make sure your garment is going to be easy to alter just in case anything ends up being too big or anything like that. So I'm making sure that there's enough space on the sides of my drape to still take in the garment if necessary. Now we can officially begin hand sewing. So this is what the inside of the garment looks like, and we are going to be sewing along the edge of the garment about an inch away from the edge. Now this part is pretty self-explanatory. As you can see, I am sewing about an inch away from the edge, like I said, of the garment or of the back piece of our garment. Now, something that you can do to make the construction part easier is you can attach the lining to your garment first and then sew the drape on. The only thing is when you do that, you are going to be able to see those hand stitches on the inside of the garment. But if you don't mind that, then I say go ahead and do that because it does make sewing the lining and the zipper and all those things much easier. So now our drape is fully sewn except for the bottom. I left those pins there because I need to attach the skirt to our garment first. Then I can go ahead and sew the bottom of that drape. So I left that just pinned. That way it will be easy to attach. So next we're going to attach the front part of our drape. Now there are 3 draped pieces in this garment total. So this is drape 2 of 3. Now, as you can see, there's some white stuff hanging out of the bottom of this drape. That is Pellon. I use that for the front and the back of this garment. That will be cut later, but I'm going to add a picture on the screen just so you can see how that looked before I added my boning and extra things to it to give it more structure. But now we could take this off the mannequin and begin hand sewing.
Like I mentioned before, we're going to just do the same thing we did for the back, but at the front, I'm going to make sure I don't sew too close to the bottom, so leave some space down here. And then this pin, or these 2 pins I have really close towards the top, I'm going to do those last. I want to attach the lining first before I hand sew those down in place.
So now all I'm doing is just going ahead and hand sewing a little tack or a small stitch anywhere that I had a pin. I'm not doing a continuous stitch like how I did for the back of the garment.
Alright, so this is sewn. I left that alone until the lining is added. So now I am going to go ahead and actually attach our lining at the top on the machine. But before I do that, I'm actually also going to show y'all one more thing. I'm going to show you what the lining looks like and how the boning has been applied. That way you can see how this garment is going to hold structure and shape.
Hey y'all, I know you're enjoying this tutorial and we're about to get right back into the video, but I wanted to take a moment to personally invite you to my Couture Draping course. I designed this course for the designers who already have a great foundation. You know how to cut, you know how to sew, you know how to create, but you are ready to take your designs to the next level and actually start creating some couture garments. You want to be able to create the things with volume and structure and all these different things. Now, in this course, we have different types of projects available. We have some that will show you how to drape a garment from start to finish, and then we also have some that are going to just focus on the techniques only. That way you can really get a good mix of everything you need. Normally, enrollment is $500, but if you're watching this video, you will be able to get this course for a discount. So at checkout, enter the code ESC tutorial and you'll be able to get this course for $350. And yes, we have payment plans available too. So if you're serious about becoming a better designer, you want to grow your craft, you want to see your skills improve, and you want to get results like my students who've been able to create garments like this just from being in my program for a matter of weeks, then go ahead, click the link in the description, and I can't wait to see what you create. Now, let's get back to the video. Okay, so I know it's a bunch of threads on this, but this is how we have our boning in place. As you can see, we want a lot of back support. So this is how we have our garment boned. And so now I can connect our drape to the lining. So next up, I've added the skirt to our lining and to our drape. And then what I did for the front of this, I basically extended my drape by adding fabric on top. That way it wouldn't just be a harsh line. And then I cut the remainder, pellon, basically the interfacing that we use for the base of this drape. I cut that off, that way it wouldn't be going over the stomach. And so we have this here. And so now, to finish up the drape, there are a few things that we need to do. So the first thing I had to do was, one, I also had to cut off the back of this as well. Because the panel for the back of this came down way too far. But first thing I had to do was, I also needed to cover the line here for this drape because you don't want it to just be like a harsh stop or look like a random stop. So I covered this by draping this fabric over it so this could look more seamless and look more intentional. And then now what I'm about to do is I am going to go ahead and sew this here to our base, and or not to our base but to our bodice. And then once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and sew this down on the sides, and then we'll be able to close everything up. Now we still have some more sewing to do with the drape as far as attaching this to the base. We have to do some sewing in here, and then maybe a little bit more sewing up towards the top. But other than that, once we get that done, this will be all completed. Also, for those of you who are wondering why the video just skips so many steps, skip past the lining and all these other things, me draping that extra piece at the front, that is because I really just wanted this video to be focused on attaching those more structured pieces of the drape to the garment. I will do more videos that show different parts of the draping process, but that is why the video skipped. So now let's continue. So now what I am doing is just hand sewing the remaining parts of my drape down. Hand sewing any remaining pieces of the back drape that we have, our big structure piece. Now that the skirt is attached, I can actually sew the bottom of the drape down to the dress. And then, like I said before, I want the drape to look seamless, so I added that extra piece on top. And then now I'm going to just check and see if there's anywhere else on the inside of the drape that needs to be sewn. So like towards the bottom, towards the center, towards the side. I'm going through the entire drape to see what other parts of this garment need more support. Now to finish things off, I'm going to take the dress off the mannequin and do a little bit more sewing.
Alright, so the back is fully sewn down. Now, whoa. Alright, so this is the back. This is our side seam. This is our drape. That's fully sewn down. Now we can sew down. Ooh. Okay, yeah, now we can sew down this little drape panel that goes across the back.
Now, when it comes to attaching your drape to a garment, there are some parts of the process that could be done by machine and some that could be done by hand. These smaller pieces that I am draping across the back, those can be sewn by machine, but I just chose to do it by hand in this case.
So now I just cut off the excess fabric after sewing this together, or hand sewing that drape there. So now we can move on to the next part.
So that last video was actually the last bit of draping I needed to do. So after I finished all my draping, I attached the lining and now my drape is fully done.
Alright y'all, so I know we just skipped to the end of the video, but the dress is done. This is what we have. So basically, I know I left off telling y'all that you needed to sew in the lining. And once I did that, I honestly just went and added a few remaining tacks throughout the drape, just to make sure it's fully supported. I didn't really add any more to the back, so all the hand sewing I added to the back y'all did see. But yes, y'all, this is our finished product. Now I'm about to put it on the mannequin. So yeah, y'all, this is our finished look. I went in and I added a few more tacks just throughout here. And then I think that was it. Everything else, I believe I showed y'all on camera outside of attaching the lining. But I absolutely love this look. It turned out gorgeous. I'll say only thing I would do different next time is use metal boning for this instead of the plastic. But outside of that, it is perfect. But I definitely want to keep doing more content like this, so make sure y'all like and subscribe, comment, let me know what y'all thought of this video, and I'll see y'all next time.